Welcome back, guys, to our National Woodlands Day. This is our final segment of National Woodlands Day. It has been a wonderful day. I absolutely love National Woodlands Day. I was even thinking about it today of when I was in college after my first summer of summer staff. I just remember, like, honestly, every Thursday being National Woodlands Day and wearing a Woodlands shirt. But when the National Woodlands Day came around, I was pumped up. I was amped. And I was talking to people about it. Super exciting. But now it's just even more exciting being on this side of things on full-time staff and just getting to see the generosity of people and the love that people have for the organization that we love and care for so much. But talking about National Woodlands Day, John, what is, when thinking about National Woodlands Day as a whole, what is like your favorite part, or what has been like an aspect of National Woodlands Day that you just hold near and dear to your heart?
Yeah, kind of zooming back and a little bit of backstory to National Woodlands Day. Back in 2018, 2019, we were working with a fundraising consulting firm that were helping us think through, like, how were we going to put together the funding needed to someday build Woodlands West. Like, it was still in the conceptual phase at that point. And so they encouraged us back in 2019 to dip our toe in the water of Giving Tuesday. And so Giving Tuesday, it's like you've got Thanksgiving and then Black Friday and then like Small Business Saturday and Cyber Monday. And then at some point, somebody was like, well, we should probably throw a bone to charity. So let's do Giving Tuesday. And so we did Giving Tuesday in 2019, and it was a decent day. I mean, we raised like $8,000 or $10,000. But what I felt in that moment was like, I love the idea of a dedicated day of generosity, but every other charity is doing the same thing on that same day. And so all the social media airwaves were filled up with every charity going, ooh, don't forget us. So we're like, we like the idea, but what if we got out ahead of Thanksgiving and had kind of gotten our own space and did our own day. And so if you've ever been a camper, you know that every Thursday is National Woodlands Day. And so we're like, let's take that language that campers already know. Let's do it on a Thursday because that's when National Woodlands Day is. And so we launched that in 2020. Of course, that was COVID year and the economy was all wonky and every ministry was going, what's going to happen with giving? And so we went into that day hoping that we could raise $25,000. And in the end, the Lord provided $168,000 in a single day. And it was like, I think we're on to something. And so, it's a day where we can concentrate our message and where people can kind of really buy into a specific cause for a specific year and plan toward that and give toward that. And we've just seen God do some extraordinary things. That firm that we worked with in 2019, they said, to get where you need to go, you're going to need multiple people to give you big donations. They were like, you're going to need multiple people to give you 100,000 and 250,000 and 500,000 and even $1 million donations. And I remember sitting across from the guy going, I don't know a single person that can write a check for more than $100,000. And I don't know very many of those either. In fact, in our first 25 years, we had one gift of $100,000 and one gift of $125,000. And that was it.
Wow.
That this place really was built on the backs of people that gave small amounts incrementally. And those people are still such a massive part of our growth plan and that kind of thing. But the Lord has in the last 5 years brought some people that have the capacity to give in bigger chunks, which has really allowed us to mash on the gas and get Woodlands West built, bought and paid for. And so, we have in the last 5 years, we've had multiple hundreds, 250s, 300,000, 500,000, and even one $5 million gift to help us build the Woodlands West Chapel. So I think that just seeing the Lord's provision and the extraordinary generosity, whether it's, and frankly, obviously those big gifts make big splashes. Some of my favorite ones are seeing like campers gifts coming through going, Big Jon, I saved up $5. Like that means so much to me. If nothing else, because those kids are getting the spirit of generosity early on. So it really has been, I look back, first one was in 2020 again, up through 2024. In those first 5 years, the Lord provided almost $3 million. In fact, in 2023 and 2024, the Lord provided over $1 million.
That's crazy.
In a single day, which for years would have represented like 4 years of fundraising for us. So again, the faithfulness of the Lord, the extraordinary generosity of his people, like those are my favorite parts of this day.
Yeah, it's really cool to see like just the beauty and generosity. And honestly, like just that, like how much like the Bible talks about that. And it's just really cool. And like even thinking about the topic of giving and generosity and what that looks like, sometimes, in my life, I've known that I like question like, what do I give to? What do I need to spend my money on or give my money to? And just looking in like the biblical context of things of like, oh, like what aligns with my faith? What aligns with my beliefs? And just like the amount, then that's another question of like, how much do I give? And it's like, it's not a set amount, but it's like what the Lord places on your heart. And like even just thinking about the idea of giving and the idea of biblical giving, we are actually releasing our very own Woodlands podcast.
Sweet.
And it's going to be called Inspire and Equip. And so we are really, really excited for this. And the reason I talk about giving with that is our first episode is going to be releasing tonight at 5:30. And it's going to be with the idea of biblical giving and generosity and what that looks like. And so I'm going to be a host alongside Brett Plyler, BP. And it's going to be so amazing. I'm so excited to do this podcast of talking about inspiring and equipping, of inspiring people with true stories and testimonies of God's faithfulness to this organization and the people here, but then also equipping them with the truth of His Word and how it relates to camp ministry.
I love it. That's
so
awesome.
I am super, super pumped for that.
That's cool.
But Big Jon,
Yes.
as we close out National Woodlands Day with our videos, what is something that you would like to send off viewers with? If you had one last thing to tell them on these videos, what is something that you want them to know?
Yeah, one of our key core values is just being good stewards. That we believe that the resources, whether it be the financial resources, the facility resources, the people resources, the camper resource, all of those resources have been entrusted to us by God. And what God requires of people that He entrusts resources to is faithfulness, and we want to be faithful stewards. We want to get the max from the minimum, And so I think what I want people to know is that your generosity to what God is doing here at Woodlands Camp, whether that be in small amounts, whether that be incrementally, people can go online and give monthly, just set it up to just automatically ding their checking account or their credit card every month, or whether it be I've got the capacity to make a big splash. It's not just an investment in National Woodlands Day 2025. Yeah. And it's not even just an investment in the mission of Woodlands Camp. It's an investment in the lives of boys and girls and students, both in this generation and in future generations. Just the other day, I had a family in my office and they looked across the lake and they said, "What's that building over there?" I said, "Well, that's Timber Ridge." We built Timber Ridge. If you've been to Woodlands, you at least driven by, if not stayed in Timber Ridge. We built Timber Ridge in 2003. The people that gave toward the construction of Timber Ridge back in 2001 and 2002, like they were giving for us to be able to build a building. But as I sat there and thought about it, I told this family, I said, over the course of the last 22 years since we built Timber Ridge, about 35,000 summer campers have stayed in that cabin. That's not even counting all the thousands and thousands of retreat guests.
Yeah.
But 35,000 summer campers have stayed in that building. Many of those kids have sat out on those porches, in those rocking chairs, porch talks with their counselors, having those big life-changing conversations that those kids will never forget. So I think what I want to leave people with is like your generosity. It's not just an investment in National Woodlands Day 2025. It's not just an investment in our mission. It is an investment in the lives of kids this year and next year and future years in perpetuity, Lord willing, till Jesus comes back. And so you are making an investment that is going to continue earning rewards, earning dividends, but from now long into the future.
Yeah, and that's so great, of getting to build the kingdom together.
Yeah.
And that's just the whole purpose of it, and that is just wonderful and just so beautiful thing such a beautiful thing we get to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in today. It has been such a privilege to get to do this and sit down with you, Jon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.